Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Benny Childs, founder of the Teach Me to Fish and Fix trading community, and I am back with this week's supply and demand market forecast. We're going to be taking a look at Forex, crypto, energy, metals, and stock indexes. All right, guys, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into it. If you're not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button right below this video. While you're there, go ahead and hit the like button and leave a comment down below. All right, if you don't have anything to say, just do hashtag supply and demand trading. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, starting with the and I am outside, guys. I love shooting these outside. It is hot here in Florida, but the fresh air is great. Anyhow, let's go ahead and start with the DXY. All right, this week's short-term institutional or currency bias for the DXY is going to be bullish. All right, so here on the 4-hour chart, let's take a look and see what is actually going on right now. Right now we have supply in control. Right now we have taken out demand zone and left behind supply. This supply was created as a transitional supply. We see where the market actually came up into this supply before pushing down. So right now supply is in control. We do have a 4-hour unmitigated supply zone right here that we may see price come into and then shoot up for us. Zooming all the way out here, the DXY looks like it could be heading towards this institutional accumulation area here. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we got a small reaction off of this 4-hour demand and then see price at least tap somewhere inside of this institutional accumulation area here and then maybe start to push up. So again, we just want to play the market based on the setups that it gives us. So even though we have our short-term currency bias for the week is bullish, if supply is in control, then we're looking to ride the coattails of the institutions, and so we are going to look for short setups until, for me, an unmitigated supply, or sometimes not necessarily unmitigated supply. So I'll just say until a 4-hour supply is taken out, I will be looking for shorts. But once that supply is taken out, for instance, if we see price do something like this, maybe come here and work its way and takes out this supply, I'm looking for a 4-hour demand maybe below this supply that was taken out, or I'm looking for this supply to turn into a turncoat or flip zone and take that up higher. All right, so that's what we'll be looking for. Some variance of this type of play on the DXY, but if not, I will wait for price to take out this transitional demand here. All right, come back up off of this transitional supply, okay, and then look for my shorts down that way. Okay, so I love being a supply and demand trader. Once it gets into my area of interest, or my point of interest, or area of interest, however you want to label it, once it gets into my zone, I am then looking for my trade confirmation based on the zone that I'm in, and take it from there. So, all right, we're gonna move right along to AUD USD. All right, short-term currency bias for AUD USD is short. Now we do see here last week, past couple of weeks, AUD has been pushing up. It pushed up into this unmitigated 4-hour supply here, and we did get an immediate reaction. All right, and not only that, it also left behind another 4-hour supply. All right, so for me on the onset with the short-term currency bias being short, I'm looking, when this market opens, I'm looking for this market to give me opportunity by giving me a trade confirmation to trade down, and I'm looking to take partial profits at these lows and at the imbalance all the way down to this demand zone. To at that point, I'll be looking to trade this up higher, taking partial profits at imbalance as well as highs being broken. All right, so that's AUD USD. Moving on to pound USD. Pound USD, the short-term currency bias I have for this is consolidation. All right, so again, that does not mean that this pair will not move, or it will not give us substantial move to gain substantial pips. However, just based on the fundamental analysis, it seems that the institutions are neck to neck as far as the pound and the USD. All right, so right now we recently had basically supply to take control. All right, demand was in control. Let me get rid of this, but demand was, I'm sorry, Bixby's talking to me. All right, demand was in control. However, we did come into this institutional distribution, and just below this 4-hour supply here, we got a reaction out, taking out this demand here. Here, I'll show you guys so you can see. Okay, this demand was taken out. All right, so for me, supply is currently in control. The sellers are currently in control. So I would possibly be looking for price to give us a play. I can just take this wick as a zone here. Give us a play off of this 4-hour zone here. Okay, wanted to come up a little bit more, look for a trade confirmation. If that is taken out, then I'm looking for a trade confirmation off of this unmitigated 4-hour supply. That would be for me the most secure trade. It's just to allow price to come up in here, wait for my trade confirmation, and go ahead and start selling that short. So again, come up into here, wait for my trade confirmation, start to sell that short. Again, taking partial profits at imbalance that could be created, as well as looking to close the trade out at certain lows once they're taken out. Okay. All right, that's pound USD. USD CAD. Here on USD CAD, we have a short-term institutional bias of consolidation as well, based on our fundamentals. All right, now let's take a look at the chart and see what the chart is telling us. All right, we can see last week supply had been in control. Not a lot of big moves. All right, here on the 4-hour chart, not a lot of big moves, but we can see where we have an unmitigated 4-hour supply here. Imbalance still needing to be filled. Okay, supply is taking out demand. All right, just breaking demand. This last 4-hour did not break this demand, so I wouldn't give this a supply. I wouldn't give this as a supply zone, but we do have, looks like this has been mitigated. Let's take a look here. Yeah, that one has been mitigated, so I'm I'm typically looking to take my trades from unmitigated zones. Okay, so we'll just have to allow the market just to develop a little bit more, but more than likely we may see a situation to where this opens up and comes down into this institutional accumulation zone, and maybe we get a play off of this unmitigated demand, and then we could take it up, taking partial profits at imbalance and closing the trade out once certain highs, depending upon what highs have been created while it's working its way down, we will just go ahead and close the trade out and look for new trade entries. Okay, all right, so that's USD CAD, Euro USD. Try my best not to hold you guys too long. We're here on the Euro USD chart. Short-term institutional bias is consolidation for this pair again, and we can just see over the past couple of weeks, few weeks, this pair has been consolidating. All right, we recently had a play off of demand here that did take out a supply. So currently demand is in control. All right, it may be short-lived, but we just have to wait to see. We may just get this pair ranging back and forth, and so we may be able to just to maybe drill down to our lower time frames and set up our supply and demand on that, and just kind of trade in between the zones, if you will, if this pair does consolidate. But you guys just be careful. All right, so again, for me, I'm looking for unmitigated demand or supply to take my trade off of. We have an unmitigated demand down here, as well as unmitigated supply here. So I'll be looking for this pair to come into one of those areas. If it does not create a unmitigated supply or demand, or a transitional supply and demand for me to take a trade off of. And again, I like to set my supply and demand trading zones based on the 4-hour chart. So sometimes it can take a little while for it to develop for me, but I also do have a scalping strategy that I can use as well. But typically I am sitting on my hands waiting for the 4-hour supply and demand plays to develop for me to take those trades off of. So again, Euro USD will be, or the short-term currency bias is set for consolidation, but hopefully we can see Euro USD go ahead and break out of the current range that it's in, and give us some really long supply plays or demand plays. All right, short-term currency bias for USD JPY. We're moving on to USD JPY. So the short-term currency bias for USD JPY is long, so we're looking for some bullish opportunities here. We do have unmitigated 4-hour demand that we're getting ready to come into. Supply has been in control, leaving behind imbalance, as well as transitional supply areas. So we can see the market possibly come in and maybe trade off of this 4-hour demand and trade up to fill in these imbalances, and maybe we can look to close our trade out once we get into this unmitigated 4-hour demand. I'm going to take this off because this has been mitigated. Okay, it's been mitigated, and the imbalance really has not been completely filled, but I'm going to take that off. So that is from the onset, that is what I'm looking for. So once price comes into this unmitigated 4-hour demand, I'm waiting for my trade confirmation so I can get in long. If I don't get the trade confirmation, or if the markets manipulate, show me what I'm looking for, but then turns around on me, then it's just a trade that I miss out on. All right, so there are other confluences that you can look for, like maybe going to a higher time frame, like going to the daily from the 4-hour and seeing if that unmitigated 4-hour demand is sitting inside of it, for me, again, an unmitigated daily demand, and then I can be more confident with that trade, or I can make the decision to say, hey, it's not sitting inside of a higher time frame demand, so I'm gonna wait until it gets to my next zone for me to take the trade. So it's just about practicing patience and just kind of knowing what to look for and be comfortable with the decision that you make. Okay. All right, USD Swiss, moving right along to USD Swiss. Short-term currency bias for USD Swiss is long. Okay. Excuse me. We do see where 4-hour supply has been in control for a while now. So again, I'm just looking for a demand. All right, if the bias is long, for me, I'm looking for an unmitigated 4-hour demand for price to come into. Let's see, I probably would have listed this one here. All right, and let's go back over and see if it's been taken out. All right, so this has not been taken out. So on the onset, since the short-term currency bias is bullish, I'm looking for a price to possibly come in here to this unmitigated 4-hour demand, get my trade confirmation. I'm looking to sell this up. We really don't have any 4-hour imbalance here. We do have 4-hour imbalance up here, so we may get a push up into this institutional distribution to fill this demand, or excuse me, to fill this imbalance, and maybe turn back to the downside. All right, off of this 4-hour supply. Okay, so that could be a possibility, but again, just wait for price to come into this unmitigated demand zone. All right, if it gives me my trade confirmation to take this pair long, I'm going to get in long, and again, taking partial profits at highs, okay, as well as any imbalances that need to be filled, okay, and maybe closing out, at this demand here, okay, or maybe even this demand. All right, so it just depends how long the trade lasts, and if we even get the trade, if we even get that turnaround right at the start of the market, or whenever it dips into that unmitigated demand. So it's just all varies, guys. We're just patient. We map out, we chart where we believe the institutions have orders at, where they have buy orders, where they have sell orders, and we trade accordingly. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to USD Mexican peso. All right, USD peso. All right, short-term currency bias for this pair is consolidation as well. We do see where supply has been in control, taking out demand. We're currently sitting inside of a 4-hour supply here that has been mitigated. So we'll see if this will continue down, or if this will kind of be our range for the consolidation, and just kind of play it as it's pushing through supply, or maybe it continues to react off of this 4-hour supply and push down into this unmitigated. This is actually a 4-hour zone. Yes. This is actually an unmitigated 4-hour zone. We are sitting in institutional accumulation, so it's very well likely that we could see this pair push up to extend the consolidating range before the institutions, whether the sellers or the buyers, take control, just to kind of give us a more trendy market here for the Mexican peso. All right, so that's Mexican peso, NZD USD. All right, short-term short-term currency bias for this pair is short. All right, based on the fundamentals. All right, but here lately, demand has been in control. This is no longer an unmitigated 4-hour demand. So I'm going to take that off of there, and let's see if this demand play here has been mitigated. Yes, this demand play here has been mitigated. We're also sitting with this unmitigated 4-hour supply here. Okay, so this may be a good setup for our short-term currency bias. All right, this one has already been mitigated, so I would take that off. And now listen, just because a zone has already been mitigated, that does not mean that that zone will not hold. That does not mean that there are still hundreds of thousands of buy orders sitting inside of that demand zone, or hundreds of thousands of sell orders sitting inside of that supply zone. But again, for me, where I want to take my trades are based off of unmitigated zones. They have shown for me to be highly probable, and I'm most successful taking my trades off of those zones. So that's what I look for. All right, so this 4-hour has already been mitigated. So on the onset, I'm looking for my trade confirmation, maybe when the market opens. All right, and when I say when the market opens, you might want to give it a couple of hours. You know, it opens at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. You may want to wait anywhere between 7 and 9 to start to look at your play. For me, I would say wait until 9, because that's when 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because that's when a new 4-hour candle is going to print, and so that's going to allow the market to give the price action that I'm looking for based off of the time frame that I'm looking for. So yeah, we may see another 4-hour push up into here, and maybe that 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time candle may give us a rejection, or however you get your trade confirmation. We may see that go ahead and start pushing down, and we can take partials at these lows here. Okay, and the imbalance fill, and maybe closing out once price actually gets to this demand zone to see how it's going to respond to demand. All right, if it does respond to demand, the demand takes over and it gives us our confirmation trade, then at that point we want to start taking the market higher. All right, but on the onset, my short-term institutional or short-term currency bias for NZD USD is short, so I'll be looking for those plays to take this to the downside. All right, moving over to crypto. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Short-term currency bias for Bitcoin is consolidation. All right, we can see where it was consolidating for a little bit, but we are trending up, where we see demand is certainly in play, taking out this supply here. All right, so even though the short-term currency bias is consolidation, all right, what I would love to see, all right, what I'll be looking for here on Bitcoin is for the market to open up, come into this 4-hour, all right, give me a entry confirmation, and I can take it higher from here. Okay, or market open up, blow through any of these demands, right? All right, blow through any of these demands, and just be looking to take our trades off of there as well. We do have unmitigated supply here, further up, as well as imbalance, so we can definitely see this market push up off of any of these demands, all right, filling in any of the lower side imbalance and pushing up higher. Again, even though my short-term currency bias is consolidation, I'm still looking at the plays for the market. I'm still looking for what the market is presenting to me in order to take my trades. All right. So that is Bitcoin. All right, that's Bitcoin. So we're going to move on to Ethereum. Short-term currency bias for Ethereum is consolidation as well. Demand has been in control. We can see where it did tap down into this unmitigated demand here, and as soon as it tapped in, it pushed right out here into this supply. It's kind of been hanging out, tapping into the supply for a while, but we are also sitting in institutional distribution here. We do have a unmitigated 4-hour supply here that we very well could possibly, all right, if this 4-hour supply does not hold up, then we very well could see Ethereum push up into this unmitigated 4-hour supply, and we could take our trade coming down for that pair as well. All right, so again, we'll see that possibly push up into here, and we can see it coming down, taking partial profits at our lows as well as our imbalance, and looking to close out once we get into this demand here. But I want to be careful as well, because I do have unmitigated demand that we need to chart here. Okay, all right, so this is unmitigated. That because that has been mitigated. Okay, unmitigated demand there. We have unmitigated demand here as well. I am going to take. Yeah, we're going to take that as the zone. Okay. All right. So we are sitting in between supply and demand. So we just want to see what holds. The Ethereum is still running. It runs 24/7 as well as Bitcoin. That's just how crypto works. But Ethereum is currently running. We do kind of have a transitional demand here. So we may see that push up through this current 4-hour supply into this unmitigated supply, and then maybe look to take our trades downward. But if you're a scalper, you can definitely drill down into the lower time frames and maybe take a play off of a 5-minute demand or a 5-minute supply just to scalp. So all right, moving on to our metals. All right, we're going to be taking a look at gold here. Let me take a quick drink. All right, gold short-term currency bias is bearish. We are sitting in 4-hour supply that was just mitigated here on Friday, I believe. Yes, it was just mitigated here on Friday, so we could still see a push out from this supply, or we could very well see it push up into this unmitigated 4-hour supply. Now what I'm kind of looking at is that we had this transitional demand zone right here that was actually taken out. Here, let me blow this up for you guys so you can see. All right, you can see where this 4-hour, this 9 a.m. candle actually mitigated, and it did take out that demand right there. So giving us a strong supply reaction. So yeah, I will be looking for this to push down. We just don't know when it will push down. Maybe it will push down from the onset of the market open, or again, maybe it will fill in some of this imbalance and tap into unmitigated demand up here. I would actually take that off and be looking for this unmitigated demand and not this doji candle. But I'll be looking forward to I'll be more comfortable to take a play off of this unmitigated 4-hour supply for gold. Okay, let's move right on to silver. All right, short-term currency bias for silver. Silver is short. All right, let's go ahead and chart in some of our unmitigated demand here. All right, just kind of noticing that I actually hadn't done that yet. All right, All right, this is a strong demand that I would play into. So let's see, do we have any unmitigated supply that I missed? No, I didn't miss this, but I do want to bring this to your attention, where we had a really strong supply, right, where we saw the market slow down up in this point. It's pushing up, and we see smaller and smaller candles, and then we got bearish candles. So this was a pretty strong supply, but at this price range with this demand here, the buyers did take over, pushing right through that supply. So buyers are currently in control. All right, based on if the market starts to push down at the open, I would probably be looking for shorts once this demand has been taken out. Maybe this turns into a flip zone, or maybe we get a 4-hour supply somewhere here, and we can begin to take this to the downside. I think a healthy market, or just a healthy move, would be a play into this unmitigated 4-hour supply here, which is resting inside of institutional distribution, and taking our plays off of there, and maybe just being able to hold this until this 4-hour demand is mitigated. All right, and again, looking to take partial profits at imbalance fills, as well as any lows that is developed while price is moving up. All right, so that would be like a more healthy move in my opinion, but again, we're looking to sell silver and gold short. All right, leaving our metals, going into our energy instrument, which is US oil. The short-term currency bias for this pair is short. All right, so yeah, we just have that listed as an imbalance fill here. Our first, technically we have that imbalance fill, and I would even go as far as marking this as an unmitigated supply. Okay, so we're looking for shorts here. All right, currently demand has been in control, taking out supply, somewhat filling in this gap. All right, so what I would be looking for is for demand to be taken out, and it's pretty similar, guys. We're once you learn supply and demand, once you learn how to recognize it, right? Learn the type of zones that you want to take trades from. You can even get to the point where you can start looking at transitional zones, so you're not necessarily waiting for a demand or a supply zone to become a strong demand or supply zone, but you can kind of with your trained eye confirm that it is a transitional zone, and you can take your trades off of there. So for me, to take this pair short, I would want to see, again, this demand taken out and either turning into a flip zone, or we come off of a 4-hour supply zone and take this again down to the bottom, taking partial profits at imbalance lows until we get to the next unmitigated zone, looking to close out, and then possibly take the trade while the market reverses or turns around. So that's what we're looking for US oil. I'm so glad that oil is coming down. All right, so hopefully that will reflect our pockets a little bit, but if not, then we can definitely day trade or look for our long plays for our long-term investment portfolios. All right, so we can make some money while US oil does whatever it does. Okay, all right, so we're leaving energy. Jumping into the stock indexes, first stock index is going to be my baby, the SPX 500. All right, so we're going to take a look at that. Short-term institutional bias, or excuse me, short-term currency bias for SPX 500 is short. All right, demand has been in control. We have a bunch of unmitigated demand that has been left behind, as well as imbalance, as well as the market is just, for me guys, the market has just come too close to this unmitigated institutional accumulation for it just to leave it there. So I don't think we found the bottom. I don't think we're going to be pushing up into like new highs. When I say new highs, I'm talking about the all time high here at 4,820.20. I don't think we're gonna go there just yet until we tap into this unmitigated institutional accumulation. So I'm looking for this pair to turn around anytime now. All right, so what we will want, one or two things again for me. Ideally, we are seeing inside of institutional distribution. We do have a unmitigated 4-hour supply zone, so I would love for it to come into that 4-hour supply, give me my trade confirmation, and I can just ride this down, taking partial profits at imbalance and the lows that were created until we get down into this unmitigated accumulation zone. So that is my hope for an opportunity at a long-term sell, just to put that in and just let it ride, just let it ride. So I would love to see that take place. If that does not take place, maybe we get an immediate reaction off of the 50% level of this institutional distribution. All right, and again, taking out that demand, maybe that demand turns into a flip, or we come off of a 4-hour supply, and then we can ride it down. All right, this is just speculation on my part, guys. This is what I would love to see. All right, again, we have an unmitigated institutional, mind you, an unmitigated institutional accumulation. All right, zone that has not been tapped into yet, period, since it's been made, and we've come to, I believe we've come too close. Now that does not mean that they can't, right? They can't. They could leave it, and we could go up into new highs, and they could be waiting for the next manufactured, recession in the next years, coming years, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever. They could wait, and we can see the market tank just like how they did currently. All right, guys, I don't believe that this stuff was done coincidentally, but we had tons. Go back and check my videos. We had tons of unmitigated institutional accumulation that was over here. There was no way that these big players were going to be leaving those shorts. All right, that's what was going on. They had shorts. They had shorts open that they needed to close. All right, they needed to close those shorts, take profit on those shorts, break even on those shorts. All right, and now they're going to start pushing it back up. So they could start to push it up from here and leave that unmitigated accumulation zone for another time period. They could be doing that, but I would love again to see them just to be able to get in on a sell, hold until we get down to that point, make bank, and then ride their coattails up. All right, and then start to see our long-term portfolios turn around. So that's SPX 500. Here we're going for the NAS 100 USD. All right, short-term currency bias is consolidation. All right, excuse me. Sorry. Demand has been in control, taking out supply, like no problem. Taking out supply, taking out institutional distribution. It just recently took this institutional distribution out. Let's go ahead and throw our unmitigated demand. There's one there. We've got one there. I would just take this wick here. Okay. We have one here, strong demand here. Alright, it's been mitigated. I'm just gonna take this wick as an area of interest. Alright. So looking for consolidation. Maybe this was just a liquidity grab right here from this institutional distribution. All right, and maybe we start to see this thing tank, or maybe we see it come into one of the demands. All right, so again, we're just looking for unmitigated. All right, so right now we recently got a push up. This could have just been a liquidity grab, right? This could have just been a manipulation before they also began to take the NAS 100 to the downside. We do have tons of unmitigated 4-hour supply, as well as another unmitigated institutional accumulation zone. So again, either it can turn around now, or they can save that for later. But as of right now, demand is in control. So until a demand has been taken out from the onset, I'm looking for buys on this pair, even though our short-term buy since consolidation. So I'm going to see if it comes down into here, gives us our trade confirmation, and allows us to take this up to the next unmitigated 4-hour demand, taking partial profit at imbalance fills, as well as closing it out once we get into our supply zones. And I think I said taking it up into unmitigated 4-hour demand. I meant to say taking it up into unmitigated 4-hour supply. All right, guys, last but certainly not least, my second favorite indice pair to trade, simply because it's a lower spread than the NAS 100, and it gives us a little bit more point moves or pip moves than the SPX 500. So for me, USD30 is that nice balance in between SPX 500 and the NAS 100. All right, but the short-term currency buys for that is short, so we're looking for supply to take control. All right, so that has been mitigated. This supply has been taken out. Let's go ahead and throw our unmitigated demand. Unmitigated demand there. Unmitigated demand here. Okay. Unmitigated demand up here as well. Alright, so we do have unmitigated demand. We're sitting inside of an institution distribution, inside of what was an unmitigated 4-hour supply. We're looking for this to the short-term currency bias is short, so maybe I don't see any other like unmitigated 4-hour demands or imbalance that needs to be filled. So maybe this 4-hour zone may be our zone where we find our trade confirmation. But in order to really take this sell, just because we're so close to demand, I will want to wait for price to take out this demand. We use it as a flip zone, or come off of a 4-hour, a freshly unmitigated 4-hour or transitional supply zone to take this down again, taking partial profits at imbalance and our lows, and looking or considering to close our trades out once we get to our demand zone. So all right, guys, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this market forecast based on supply and demand zones has been helpful. I hope you guys have been able to take a look at the unmitigated method that I like to trade maybe is something that you would like. I will tell you, I was doing a stream earlier this week, and one of the viewers, David, he pointed out how he used to do supply and demand, but he got tired of missing out on trades. I will tell you, supply and demand is one of the strategies, or most demanding strategies of your patience out there. But there are ways, guys. Everything works. Everything is fractal, all right, especially with supply and demand. Everything is fractal. You can take it down to the lower time frames and maybe scalp. And I do that from time to time while I'm waiting on my longer place setups or higher time frame place setups. I'll drill down, especially with the SPX 500. You guys, I show you my strategy. Go back and look at a couple of the streams that I recently did, and it works, guys. You can take it down to a lower time frame. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below in the comments. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what pair you'll be looking at this week, and we'll go from there. So guys, as always, please remember, if you stay in God, you will stay in control. Until next time, happy pip fishing. If you're not a subscriber, if you haven't liked the video, if you haven't commented, please do those things now. And if you're looking for a little bit more help with your supply and demand trading, consider joining the mentorship community. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, much love. Bye bye.